Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in pints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks. We're two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, it's my man who doesn't have a name. It's the physician's assistant, Frank. How are you today?
I am doing just swimmingly. I am doing timey-wimey wonderfully.
Wibbly wobbly. Timing
Yes.
is a thing. Frank, this is a show called Beer with Geeks, which means that we usually partake in a libation of some kind. What are you partaking in this evening? Probably not this morning, maybe this afternoon. Who knows?
Depends when you're listening to this. Yeah,
Indeed.
I am partaking of a Darkness Take My Hand peanut butter milk stout.
What? There's so much happening on that can.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
Darkness Take My Hand by Empty Pint Brewing Company. Yeah,
that can looks evil.
It does, yeah. And they are local to my locale.
Yeah.
So I am enjoying one of these. It is, I think, my favorite peanut butter stout.
Really?
That I've ever
Your
had.
favorite?
I think it is my favorite. Maybe it's because it's a milk stout and a peanut butter stout. No, that the creaminess of it.
Milk stout.
It's nice. It's got a nice creamy texture, and it tastes like peanut butter, like good peanut butter.
Does it have peanut butter in it? Is it a nut-free beer?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It says malt, 2-row chocolate malt, black malt, hops Bravo, special goodies, Ghana cocoa nibs, lactose. It does not say peanut butter.
That's fabulous.
It doesn't say nut free anywhere, but I don't see an actual peanut.
Yeah, I mean they don't put nut-free on things just
Exactly.
everywhere.
Yeah. But
It's interesting
so
that they can create a peanut butter flavor without
actual peanut butter. Yeah, and it's actually more like
Skippy.
No. Exactly.
That's good.
Anyway, I also I'm going to be drinking it out of I have recently come into possession. A relative passed away, and one of the things that as the family was looking through some of their things, and what does everyone want to take, we found that she had two out of the set of Burger King Star Wars water glasses from 1977, from the original.
I can't believe those are original. They're in such good condition.
They were in the back of a cupboard probably since 1977. Wow. Because no one on that side of the family has seen Star Wars. So I'm like, how did they even come into possession of them? Mm-hmm. Anyway, I've got two of them. One of them is, if you look them up, they're like on Etsy and eBay and stuff. The set sells for about $40. They're about $10 a pop for the glasses. So they're not valuable. So I'll be drinking out of it. But there's one that features R2 and 3PO. With Luke and Obi-Wan in the background. Obi-Wan with these weird beams coming out of his head.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, you can't really tell from seeing it here right now, but
no.
Probably the photo I sent you would be easier to see. Mm-hmm. And then there is one that features Luke and Leia and Obi-Wan with some stormtroopers and the Death Star and X-Wing and TIE Fighter in the background.
It's so cool. I think
very cool.
The C-3PO one is better, I think.
That's my favorite. I'm going to be using that one tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so, their quality Like I'm impressed
They
by
are.
I'm impressed by the not
They
just
are.
I mean obviously how good condition they are,
Yes.
but like even just like I don't know, just I'm gonna go back to quality. Like they're actually good.
Yeah, I mean the actual like the art on it is good, is nice art, and it's also printed nicely. You know, like it's printed well. It doesn't look super cheap.
No, it doesn't.
But I mean, so yeah, I don't know how much they originally went for at Burger King. I imagine it was like $1 or $2, like on top of whatever your meal was. But and on the back, actually, I'll read this one if that's okay.
By all means.
There's information about R2 and 3PO.
On R2D2 no less.
On like a line drawing of R2D2. Working as a team, these two robots battled side by side with Luke, Han, Ben Kenobi, and Princess Leia in their struggle against the forces of the Galactic Empire. R2D2, an information retrieval and computer repair robot, carries Princess Leia's plea for help to Ben Kenobi, and along with C-3PO, a human-robot relations automation, delivers the secret information concerning the Death Star to the Rebel forces. I feel like they meant automaton, but it says automation. Anyway, yeah. So that's who these guys are.
That is so cool. I don't know, the energy or something coming off of Obi-Wan's.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like 60s spy novel covers, like John le Carre or a Bond novel or something like that. It has that kind of quality to it. So I think that's what they were, or Logan's Run quality or something. I think that's maybe what they were going for.
It almost looks like his spidey sense is tingling.
That's exactly what it looks like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the artist, but Greg Smallwood, I think. Actually, it's Greg Smallwood, but his like Human Target art covers the Tom King run. Like it looks like that style of 60s spy. It's so cool. I love it.
You know, my spidey sense is tingling, and I feel like the beer I'm drinking is local to my area now, but I feel like you're drinking a beer that was local to my area that I used to live in.
It is. Did you snipe that? Like while I was like, looking at the can?
I recognized the label.
Okay. But I wasn't like holding it up, so I'm actually like impressed that you were able to do that. Yes, I am drinking a Salem lager from Notch Brewing Company, the Bavarian style. It is very good.
Is it called Salem Lager?
Salem Lager.
Nice.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It is what it is. It's a Salem Lager. Notch is great. Used to be Frank's part of the world. It is no longer. Still closer than my part of the world, though. So
true. Yes.
When you look at it that way, it is still your domain.
It is
just a little further away.
Yeah. I haven't been back since. No, that's not true. I have been back since I sold my house, but only to visit a friend. So I just went right to their house. I didn't feel like I was in town. You know,
it's not the same.
Not the same.
Do you miss it?
Yeah. There's a lot of things about it that I miss. Yeah. We would have liked to stay there. It just was too expensive to buy a home big enough to have a family in. So we couldn't do that. But yeah, we miss a lot of things about it for sure.
Yeah, it was a cool place.
It was a nice
cool
place.
Town.
It was a really cool place. Yeah, it was a cool town to live in.
I don't have a good segue, Frank, but a few weeks ago, years ago, years ago, you tried to convince me on a Hit Me With Your Best Shot to watch Doctor Who, and I told you no. No, I said I probably would. I said I probably would give it a shot. And Frank, I'm happy to report that there's finally been a follow through, and I actually gave it a shot, and I watched all 4 of the new season specials. So the 3 with David Tennant that were released on Disney Plus, and then the first special with the new doctor and new doctor's assistant, physician's assistant, as I'm going to call them from now on. And yeah. Is that a joke that's never been made about Doctor Who before?
I'm sure it's been made at some point, but I don't remember it. So that's great.
It's great.
They're usually called companions. Like that's.
That's right.
Referred to it. So physician's assistant is
Yes,
Chef's kiss.
I'm not a Whovian, so that is that's the correct word, right?
Yes,
for Dr. Who fan. So I've said on Hit Me With Your Best Shot that I've tried different doctors in different seasons for a bunch of different times. Excuse me, and I just I could not get into it, and so I was like, I'm going to try it one more time because I really like David Tennant.
Yeah.
Without being attached to him as the Doctor at all, I think maybe I've seen the most of his episodes as the Doctor, if anything, which means I've seen like 3 episodes with him as the Doctor. So I went back in and I was like, I hope I like it, and maybe I'll be wooed by Disney money. And I think it turns out I was wooed by Disney money. I think that's a huge part of it. But I dug the first episode, and I dug the episodes post that, and I was like, all right, now I need to see if it's like me or if it's David Tennant. Maybe I just really like him.
Sure.
So I watched this new Doctor, and I was like goblins in a wooden ship stealing babies. This is my jam. I love this. Yeah, and I was a big fan actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep going, which is something I've never said about Doctor Who before. I think part of it is that before we get into specifics about any of the shows, is that there's only 4 episodes.
Yes.
And
that does help,
in
a big way. Yes.
And I didn't feel like these episodes with David Tennant, they were like, obviously like you could tell that like a lot of the cast was like, we've known each other from previous seasons of Doctor Who, but I didn't feel left out. I just felt like there was it's like a shared world, or, like these characters have history and they talk about it a little bit, but like obviously there's rapport, and that was enough for me to entice me into continuing to watch.
Yeah.
What did you think of them on the whole? Before we do any kind of spoiler,
I loved them. I loved them as well. David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, is my favorite Doctor, and I was so surprised. I guess you wouldn't have seen, unless you saw like on YouTube or somewhere, the 13th Doctor regenerating into him, into David Tennant, and I was not spoiled on that. So and this is a spoiler for something that happened a year ago. So if you're a Whovian, or if you care, you would have seen it.
What was the previous Doctor to him? The 13th Doctor, you said?
Jodie Whittaker.
Jodie Whittaker. Okay.
Jodie Whittaker, who I think really was underserved by not the best writing. And I think she was a really fun Doctor, but she just didn't have great stories and just not great writing overall. So that was a bummer. And that seems to be a consensus in a big chunk of the fan population. Anyway, seeing her regenerate into David Tennant, I was not spoiled on that. I was thrilled. I was confused, but I was thrilled. And then to find out there's going to be 3 specials with him, I was like, oh my God. The first one I was like okay on. The second one I liked. The third one I loved.
That's where I landed on it too.
Yeah.
So
it was just a treat to have him back, period. And then to like be like, okay, the first episode was fine, and then it got better, and then it got better. Was really, really nice for me. And I really enjoyed the new Doctor as well. I want to talk about him also.
Let's say, do you want to just do spoilers? Because I think it's going to be hard to talk about this. We won't go heavy spoilers, I guess. You obviously, you said the 10th Doctor was your favorite one. So these 3 specials, did you feel like did it wrap up plot lines for you, or story points or character notes that you were looking for or didn't know you were looking for, and you ended up getting a little bit of a nice cherry on top? Or what was
the whole sort of overarching story arc for the Doctor and Donna was something I didn't know I wanted. At the time that I watched the 10th Doctor's run, and it has been a long time since I watched it. I've watched select episodes here and there, but since I watched the whole thing, it's been more than 10 years. So my memory at the time, though, in my early 20s, was not really loving Donna all that much. And the thing, I love Catherine Tate now, so I think I was probably wrong. I feel like if I went back and watched it, I would have a different opinion now.
Because I loved her.
I loved her in this. I loved her in these specials. So her storyline. I didn't know I wanted that because I thought I didn't care for her character, but I don't. No, over the last several years, I've been like, but I like Catherine Tate, so I think I was wrong about the Doctor Who stuff, and now even more, I think that.
Who was the physician's assistant previous to? Sorry, I'm going to keep with it. Who was the physician's assistant previous to Donna? Was that
previous to in her
with
first
David
one?
Not David Eccleston? What's it? No, that was the right name.
Christopher Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston. Yeah.
That
it was Queen Victoria.
Billy Piper, whose character's name was Rose.
That's Billy Piper. So there
was
another Rose.
Hang on, because between them there was Martha Jones.
Okay.
There's another assistant, but I suspect you're talking about Rose.
Yes, I remember Rose. Yeah.
Yes.
And then who
did you watch some episodes with Rose?
Yes, because I started with Christopher Eccleston, and I was like, these are not for me.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started fresh. I think when I was in college.
I'm sure you said this. When we did.
I'm sure I have, but this is not pertinent information to your life, Frank. So I don't really care if it sticks in your brain or not.
Yeah, cool.
So wait, who played Queen Victoria on Masterpiece? What's her name? Jenna Coleman. Aha, I knew it.
Oh, Jenna Coleman.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Jenna Coleman was a
physician's assistant. Yeah.
Yeah, a physician's assistant. Right?
She was. She indeed was.
To whom?
Yes.
Was she?
She was a physician's assistant to the 12th Doctor, who was how am I?
Was that Peter Capaldi?
My one lookup. What
was that? Peter Capaldi?
Peter Capaldi. Thank you.
Yes.
I was like, oh my god, brain fart. I can't remember his name right
now.
How
much I know without ever actually watching, because I definitely watched her. I remember some of the companions, I guess, a little bit more because wasn't Felicia Day. It was oh my gosh, Nebula.
Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan was
the other redhead,
right? The other one for Matt Smith, right? Mm-hmm, and so, which I think I've seen his the least, if anything.
Okay,
but okay. So now I've kind of ordered them all. I've lined them all up, but I couldn't remember because this new one's name is also Rose, right? No.
Donna's daughter is named Rose.
That's it. Okay. Yes. And I was confused because Rose was like a name in my brain.
In your head.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you probably pieced together from that first episode, the Meep, that Donna had connected to the Doctor's brain, and it was more information than a human could handle, and so he had to wipe her memory. And if she ever remembered it, he thought that she would die because it's more than a human brain could handle.
Yep.
It turns out somehow when she had her daughter, that her daughter also had some of that information. So that's how Donna is able to be alive now, because that information is not all in one brain. Because that information was in her daughter's head, when she transitioned to being a woman, she picked the name Rose because it was somewhere in her head subconsciously, but she didn't know why. And that's also why she makes all these stuffed animals that look like monsters that the Doctor has fought over time, because they're in her subconscious somewhere and they came out in her art.
Oh yes, I would not have gotten that
right
from the Rose part makes sense, but the monsters that she's making are the ones that Doctors have fought. I would not have known that, but I love that detail. Like that's really fun and cool, and I guess it would be easier to see the we transferred, and I guess you the foreshadowing of that kind of thing was there if you were a fan. See, but I didn't feel left out. See, still
exactly
that was just like a fun thing that she did. It didn't really mean much. It was more like she would obviously have a connection to Meep in some way. Like if you already like monsters or whatever, then like a monster showing up in some way, or an alien showing up. Was the Meep? It was originally a comic, right?
Yes.
Yes. I'm pretty
it came
sure
from
I
a
knew
comic.
that because of Vectorverse. Thank you, Vectorverse.
Nice.
But was it a Neil Gaiman comic?
That I don't know. I don't know about that.
I might use my lookup for
It
that.
could be, but I don't know for sure. I know that it came from a comic that was referenced in a podcast that I listened to. Did you know that the new showrunner and writer who took over with these specials is also the same showrunner that was running the show back when David Tennant was on?
The Russell
T. Davis.
Russell T. Davis. I was going to say David T. Russell, but I knew it wasn't right.
Nice.
I was like some mixture of that name. Russell T. Davis. I did know that because I saw an interview recently with Christopher Eccleston.
Okay.
And they were like, "What would it take for you to come back?" And he was like, "Fire."
Oh wow! Yeah.
Russell T. Davis or something like that. And
yeah.
So question. I thought he was always running Doctor Who. So he was not doing the show for Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi or Jodie Whittaker.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Moved on to other projects. Stephen Moffat took over for
that's right.
Matt Smith and the Peter Capaldi eras.
Okay.
And then with Jodie Whittaker was Chris Chibnall, who is another prominent, British television writer, showrunner.
Gotcha.
And he had worked with Jodie Whittaker before on something else. And so, yeah, he was the showrunner then. I didn't really care for his writing so much. I liked Moffat, but I loved Russell T. Davis stuff back in the day.
There's like this now. I can't speak to the other seasons, but what I really liked about these specials and this other one is that there's like it's kind of creepy. Like there's like an actual like it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like and like macabre, but also like really funny.
Yes,
I think I saw.
It swings super hard from one to the other.
Yeah, it does, and that's what I think I really enjoyed about it in these episodes. I think I saw an interview briefly with. I told you I'm a fan now, so I saw an interview like, oh yeah, I'm interested in what he has to say. So, and he said, I think he said something like, Doctor Who without the comedy is horrifying, so it has to be funny.
I would say that's
true because like this first special, the fourth special, the whatever with the new Doctor, and it's like children are getting taken and getting eaten, and if that's not funny, that's horrifying.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's it's horrifying. Yeah, so that it does need to have some humor to it. And that has been sort of the MO for the entire modern Who era since 2005. Has been to sort of infuse some humor, and I think that was the case before as well. I haven't really watched enough classic Who to really have a good handle on that. But yeah, that is sort of the MO, and that's what makes it work, I think, in a lot of ways.
I must ask about the third episode with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
Because I loved it.
Yes.
So much did I love it. But Neil Patrick Harris is new to Doctor Who, right?
He is.
We had seen his character appeared in many years ago.
Years ago.
Okay.
Yes. So that is a character from the lore, but yes, NPH was new in this role.
Is that common for them to pull things from many decades ago and pull it forward?
So.
Okay, I was curious about
villains.
That. Okay,
particularly villains and creatures. Very often come from the classic era, which ran from early 1960s to early to mid 80s, I believe.
Okay.
It is pretty common for them to do. Very common for them to do that. Oftentimes, if it's a creature or something, fine, they look the same. Oftentimes, it's that the person has a different face now because they're the kind of alien who can have a different face, like the Doctor has a different face,
sure,
or whatever.
Right, whatever.
There's always an explanation.
Yeah.
There are other people from his planet who also who are villains who.
Oh, I see. Okay.
As well as other species that have a different face for whatever reason, and that's kind of what happened here with the NPH character.
my next question, which will lead us into talking about the new Doctor, in that, like, how much of the Doctor's history is explored in the show? Like, does it go there frequently, or is it like a every so often tidbit kind of thing? And is there a definitive answer to a lot of those questions that fans do know, or they only speculate?
So there is, there's a lot of, it's complicated is really the answer. It's a bit like Star Wars lore was before the expanded universe became Legends, where there were some slightly contradictory things in the novels versus what was in the canon of like the films, or contradictory, but also expanding on it, right?
Yep.
Some or like two different novels might disagree about a particular detail. There is some of that, especially in like the comics and the other, like the novels and the other extra material. There is some of that in Doctor Who. They do talk about the Doctor's background, at least in the modern era since 2005, like quite often.
Okay.
It's usually parsed out over the course of a season as part of like an arc, as a
sure.
This is the big mystery of the season, and it comes together at the end of the season or something like that. Usually, there've been a couple specials that dive into some of the Doctor's past and trauma and stuff like that. So yes, we know a lot of the Doctor's history. There have been a couple of in the last Doctor's run and Jodie Whittaker run, there were a few things that were sort of turned on their heads, like things you thought you knew are no longer so certain.
Oh, I see.
Like maybe these things didn't really happen the way that the Doctor remembers, or whatever. So now there's some new questions. I guess they had to do that to sort of they filled in so many blanks that maybe you have to make some new blanks.
Sure, that makes sense. I mean, comics do it all the time.
And it's been 60 years, so you got to do something. So yeah, that's I think that's the story there.
Okay, because this new special, the newest one with a new Doctor, and he's like, I don't really know my family, and it's like clearly they're going for this found family theme thing that's gonna, I would assume, run through this new iteration for a little while. So I wasn't sure how much like we actually knew, or if that was like one of the first times he was like, I don't know, like. So okay, that answers my question though. All right, so
yeah, I think Russell T Davies, this might give you some color. The found family thing, I suspect, is going to tie into Russell T Davies is queer, and often tries to put queer characters and queer representation into his writing. In the Doctor Who, in his first run of Doctor Who, it was the early 2000s when he started it. I think that the social mores of the time and the general feeling of acceptance of those things, he was out, but didn't put that into his writing as much as he does now, almost 20 years later.
Sure.
So we've seen, Rose, who is trans, this Doctor gives queer energy. And that's, I think, very much the plan is to have that sort of representation here. We had the first time that the Doctor was female, and now we have the first time that the Doctor is not only black but queer. So I think that's a representation piece, and I think that the found family theme is something that is meant to resonate with LGBT people who are not accepted by their families and then turn to found family.
Gotcha.
And the strong bonds that they form. I suspect that might be a thematic, if not an explicit piece of this Doctor's run. I suspect it will be implicit.
That means that the relationship between the Doctor and his companion will also be different than what is normally, because they usually have this will they
very
won't
well
they
could
thing.
be, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So this new special introduced the new Doctor. You've seen a lot of new Doctors introduced over the years. Did you like it?
Love, like, seems like such a funny, smart, witty, all the things that I love in a Doctor. Like,
and the Doctor's not always these things. He's not always funny, smart, and witty. Or they, I guess, because sometimes it's not a
true.
Yeah.
No, I think I mean in the modern era certainly they are. I think the first few doctors that took them some time to get there, because it was meant to be a slightly more, it was a kids show, it was a science fiction kids show, so they took it more seriously the way Batman was more serious, like for two kids.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it didn't poke fun at itself like Batman did. It was just earnest, but ridiculous if you're an adult, because you're like, that's a
giant clam. Yeah.
That's a giant clam holding a spatula. That's not a,
Sure.
So, I mean, literally the Daleks have like a whisk, like a kitchen whisk attached to them. They're like, oh no, the scary monster. Anyway. So that's been an evolution, but in the modern era, yeah, they tend to be funny, witty, and smart. But every actor has their own version of that, don't they?
They do. That's true.
And so I guess you're right to point that out. I guess I like his take on that. I like his version of that.
He's very warm.
Very warm.
Yeah,
yes.
and that's not always the case with the Doctor, because Peter Capaldi was not.
Peter Capaldi is not super warm.
No. Christopher Eccleston was not warm either. Not from the episodes that I watched.
He was like a yeah.
He's kind of a
I don't know if warm is the first word I would think of for him. Not that he's not warm, but it's not in the top like 3 descriptors.
Yeah. He seemed a little too cool for school in the early episodes, but I just couldn't attach myself. But like I said, I didn't watch all of it, so I can't I can't really comment. But I just really appreciated that this is a man or a being that is beyond almost all things, but he's just he's very just happy to just give you a hug if that's what you need.
Yeah.
And I just really like that.
A lot of warmth and love you feel radiating from this Doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Plus, he's got some sweet vocals.
Sweet vocals.
Yep.
Cool kilts.
Yep. Cool kilts. Not afraid to use them. His new screwdriver. Not a screwdriver.
Not a screwdriver. That is annoying to me in a very pedantic way. I was like, well, it's not technically a screwdriver, but I'll get over it. I don't care that much. But it is why wasn't it just a screwdriver, guys? Why are we making it not a
why does it have to look like the remote from Click?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
I'm like, it's called a sonic screwdriver. It's been a screwdriver for 60 years. Why can't it just still be a screwdriver? Okay, fine.
Yeah, they can create new lightsaber hilts. Then you can make a new sonic screw right. But it doesn't really bother me though, because I don't really, you know what I mean.
Sure.
I didn't know it always look
it bothers me a little bit, but that's fine. I don't really care that much.
Sure. I guess in some ways it would be if somebody showed up in Star Wars and their lightsaber was a cube. And you'd be
right. It's
why?
But that's not a saber.
It's not really a saber. No,
right.
It's just a gun.
Exactly.
It's my lightsaber. It's not though.
It's not. It is a different object.
Yeah, it takes the form of an axe instead, and you're like, that's just an axe. It's not a saber, but it's fine.
It's
Yeah, I understand. I completely understand.
Yeah, but that's the vibe. Yeah.
Do you know, to wrap up, how many more specials there are going to be, or is it going to is it all just specials now, or is it moving into here's episode 1 or 2 or whatever? Because I know Doctor Who has these it's the Christmas special or something, and is typical for British TV. But I wasn't sure what they were doing here.
I believe there is a 14th season, an actual season. And that is supposed to start this spring of 24.
I see.
So these specials were, I think the three specials were, the 3 David Tennant specials were the 60th anniversary event for 2023 was the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. So that was instead of doing for the 50th anniversary, they did one big special where a few doctors got together and there was a plot to save time. Mm-hmm. John Hurt is in that. It's excellent.
I vaguely remember that. Is that the one with the snowmen?
No, that's a different one. That's one of the Christmas specials.
Okay, so I know things.
You do know things, yeah. That's one of the Christmas specials. But yeah, this was a 50th anniversary special from 2013.
Okay,
that is awesome. But it is this, instead of doing one big special and making it the 60th anniversary event, whatever, they did 3 specials that were they were called the 60th anniversary specials, but it was never referenced anywhere in the show, or not even in the title card or anything like that. You wouldn't know it from just watching. You had to read online.
But I, as somebody who didn't really watch it, appreciated that because it felt like a fresh start to me instead of being like, it's the 60th anniversary. There are probably going to be a lot of references to things that I won't understand. I'm not going to watch.
Bingo. I think that is I think that was probably a Disney stipulation, and I think that was the reason. I think you nailed the reason.
Well, it worked.
Because they are using this as a jumping off point for a new era, and like Disney being a big paying for a lot of it and all of that. So I think they called a lot of the shots, and that was probably one of the shots they called. Was we don't want to put 60 anywhere near it because then people will think they have to watch 60 years of TV to catch up. But and then the fourth special was the Christmas special, which is a customary. Almost every year there's a Doctor Who Christmas special. Even if there wasn't a season that year, sometimes there's still a Christmas special.
Oh, okay.
So that they'll go a couple of years without a season sometimes, and there might still be Christmas specials in between.
I see.
So,
okay.
So that's a traditional thing for the show. So that's how we got 4. Was the 3 60th anniversary ones, and then the Christmas one. And I think we're transitioning back now into there's going to be a 14th season. Whether there'll be a Christmas special at the end of this year, I don't know. Maybe, probably, but we'll see.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I'm so glad that we were able to talk about this. I'm excited to watch more, and we'll be back to talk about Doctor Who once that 14th season drops. How exciting!
Be cool.
Yeah, how exciting!
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you decided to give it a shot. I did not influence you in this.
Not even. No one told me to watch it. I was just like, I want to. Like
you told me after the fact. Oh, I watched Doctor Who, and I was like, what?
I know.
And you liked it? Oh my god!
I know.
So I was thrilled.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of, I guess, of this new little era is the pace. I think it's pretty. It moves at a pretty fast clip, and it covers in these 4 specials. It covers a pretty wide range of subgenres and genres.
Yes.
And I did appreciate that. And honestly, I'm a little superheroed out, but I still love.
Sure.
But I also still love genre.
Right.
And so I think I'm just like I'm tuned into something that like I'm not previously connected to, so everything feels fresh and new, and I don't have expectations about what's going to happen or characters that I know or don't know are going to show up or famous storylines or nothing. It's just like a genre, something that I can enjoy without any baggage.
Yes,
and I think I needed that after so many years, so it just caught me at a good time, and I'm happy to be here. Yeah, happy to be here.
I am happy to hear it. I hope you continue to enjoy it as they move into season 14. No hard feelings if you don't. If you don't like it and you decide it's not your thing anymore, that's cool. I just want to put that out there.
No, of course.
But if you do and you would decide to watch the whole season, we can talk about it afterwards.
That sounds great.
And we'll talk about it here on the show.
That sounds lovely. Frank, if people want to talk about more things on the show, where should they go?
They should go to beerwithgeeks.com. Where you'll find back episodes, including Beer with Geeks episode 102, Lesbian Lizard Lady, in which I hit Tim with my best shot about Doctor Who. I have a link to that in the show notes, by the way.
Very good.
At beerwithgeeks.com. That's also where you'll find the show notes, the aforementioned show notes that have links to that episode and links to pictures of the Star Wars Burger King glasses that I was talking about earlier and all that fun stuff. So beerwithgeeks.com. beerwithgeeks@gmail.com, patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio if you want to help support us, help us keep making the show, and subscribe in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review us and do all the things that help us to reach a wider audience. We love you. We appreciate you for doing that.
Indeed. We love you and appreciate you. And Frank, I love and appreciate you.
Ditto.
So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.